प्रातस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। नानोपाधिवशादेव जातिवर्णाश्रमादयः आत्मन्यारोपितास्तो ये रसवर्णादिभेदवत् पञ्चीकृतमहाभूत सम्भवं कर्म सञ्चितम् शरीरं सुखदुःखानां भोगायतनमुच्यते पञ्चप्राणमनो बुद्धि दशेन्द्रियसमन्वितम् अपञ्चीकृतभूतोत्थम् सूक्ष्माङ्गं भोगसाधनम् अनाद्यविद्यानिर्वाच्या कारणोपाधिरुच्यते उपाधिकृतया गण्यम् आत्मानमवधारयेत् पञ्चकोशादियोगेन तत्तन्मय इव स्थितः शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादि योगेन स्फटिको यथा वपुस्तुषादिभिः कोशैर्युक्तं युक्त्यावघाततः आत्मानमन्तरं शुद्धं विविच्यात्तण्डुलं यथा सदा सर्वगतोऽप्यात्मा न सर्वत्रावभासते बुद्धावेवावभासेत स्वच्छेषु प्रतिबिम्बवत् देहेन्द्रियमनोबुद्धि प्रकृतिभ्यो विलक्षणम् तद्वृत्तिसाक्षिणं विद्यादात्मानं राजवत्सदा व्यापृतेष्विन्द्रियेष्वात्मा व्यापारी वा विवेकिनाम् दृश्यते भेषु धावत्सु धावन्निव यथा शशि आत्मचैतन्यमाश्रित्य देहेन्द्रियमनोधियः स्वक्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्ते सूर्यलोकं यथा जनाः.
We'll chant verse 11.
नानोपाधिवशादेव जातिवर्णाश्रमादयः आत्मन्यारोपितास्तो ये रसवर्णादिभेदवत्.
Only on account of the diverse equipments, caste, color, stage, etc. are superimposed upon Atman, just as different flavors, colors, etc. upon water. Remember, verse 10 says that Atman appears pluralistic. Just as the colorless light appears to be made up of vibrioric diverse spectrum of colors, Atman appears pluralistic like that. The color appears as a spectrum of colorless light appears as a spectrum of colors because it passes through the prism. Similarly, Atman appears pluralistic because it is viewed through the prism of our body, mind, and intellect, which is called as the Upadhis. So, verse 10 talked about Atman appearing pluralistic because of the Upadhis. This verse 11, says what is the result of such association with the Upadhis? How does that diversification express itself? One, it is the one and only one which appears as diversified. But what is the diversity? This verse says Jati, Varna, Ashramadayaha. Adayaha means etc. It's not exhaustive. There are very many classifications that you can say. Jati refers to one's community. Usually it is based on birth. That is the in Sanskrit we have two terms. That is why both the terms are given here, Jati and Varna. Krishna very clearly says in Gita that Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Varna, though it is in English it is translated as caste, it is not a proper translation, particularly considering the root of the word caste, which is actually according to birth. It comes from Latin or some European term, probably originating from West Europe, Portugal or Italy, wherever. It is, casta is the root word, and that is how the term caste system came, which is according to the birth. But there was a free movement amongst the Varnas because Varna is not strictly based on birth, though birth is a conducive factor for the Varna, that is understood. So Varna is fourfold: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, according to the gunas. Gunas means the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That is what determines the Varna, the proportion of each gunas. Because all of us are made up of all the gunas. If a person has a predominant sattvic tendencies, he tends to be like a Brahmin. Like that, each and every Varna is determined based on the guna. Jati is something which is based on birth. So each and every Varna has different Jatis also. And Jatis come, arise, they stay, and then they go away also. Whatever is the Jatis that are given in Vedic period and all, we do not see those type of Jatis now. It is mostly associated with one's inclination and what they naturally do, etc. See, for example, even among Brahmins, let us say, the priests who will look after the temple, they are considered a different jati. Priests who do rituals for others, they are considered different. Even that, there are categories and gradations according to the level of Veda and Vedic Adhyayan they have done, etc. Similarly, Kshatriyas, similarly Vaishyas, like that there are various jatis that are there. Even when we were growing up in 80s, you must have seen it. It might be all over India also that there are particular jati which thrive on catching pigs and other small animals, because that was there everywhere. In cities also you will find, even rural areas you will find. But now there are no pigs. Where is the question of the jati surviving? So it is not there. But 100 years back, there was no jati such as a software professional, isn't it? Now you can say that is type of a jati. When I say that, I am saying it in a very loose manner. Like that, the certain things come, certain things go. This is based on, from time to time it happens, but that is different from Varna. But interestingly, Jati, Varna, and then he says Ashrama. Ashrama is the stage of life. Hindu life is beautifully classified into 4 stages: Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grahastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha Ashrama and Sannyasa Ashrama. This is the ideal way of classification. In the first quarter of his life, he is involved in studies and preparing himself for life. In the Grahastha Ashrama stage, he is married and a householder, and he performs the duties that he has learnt. And it's a big laboratory where every knowledge is experimented, work is done, action is performed to purify himself to go further in life. That is the major ashrama. Then Vanaprastha ashrama, where he is like a recluse. He may be still with his wife, but he is somewhat withdrawn from the family. The term Vanaprastha itself suggests that he lives in a garden type of a place, and he is doing subjective worship more, like that it is. And when he is well prepared, he may completely renounce everything and take up what is known as a sannyas, which is essentially a state of mind, but that is a stage where it's a very matured state of mind, where he has no particular family of his own, where he has adopted the universe as his one family, and his focus is completely upon self and self-realization. All this stage of life, all the varnas, all the jatis, and any other classification. See, because in the commentary you will find that Swamiji has used the term varna as the Sanskrit term used in color also. It is very interesting that we do not know who created it. It's God's creation or natural phenomenon, you can say. That the entire world also has the classification of human beings under 4 race, what Westerners calls as race, in terms of the color of the skin. That is also there. According to each and every climatic regions it has come. You will find that in dark continent of Africa, a lot of black people are there, where there's no penetration of, or there's a lot of heat. And there is a lot of, even in Indian geography, you will find that people who are more in Punjab, Kashmir will be more fair-skinned than though in South India. And further you go to Sri Lanka, it will be much more. As you go towards the equator, it's much more. So you see the color of the people in North Africa and South Africa, that is different from what you see in Central Africa. Like that, it's all based on the geographical location, that it has, some people are black, some people are mongoloid, yellow in color, the Chinese and the East Asian population, brown are Indians, Arabs and Persians also you can include in that, and Europeans are white. So these are also various classifications, if you want to, broadly include. But he says, all this diversity is because of the equipment. You take any diversity is because of, as I said, the change of the mental texture. It is a change of the physical texture. It is skin's color, you can say, or the color of the mind. When I say color, the texture of the mind. It is the texture of the mind which makes everything different. Atman functioning through all the equipments is one and the same. And this verse says, Atmanya aropita. So all these differentiations are superimposed upon Atman. The superimpositions due to the equipments, the diversity due to the equipments is superimposed upon Atman. Atman as a base, it is not really any different or any, in other words, the Atman in the a Chinese or a Japanese or a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a man or a woman or animal, any differentiation, you see that the Atma cannot be different. The electricity cannot be different, but it is aropitaha. It is as though superimposed. How it is superimposed? The example given in this verse is that rasa varnadi bedavat, and on the water, flavor, color, etc. are superimposed upon the water. Pure water is tasteless, it is odorless, it is colorless. Flavors, etc. are superimposed upon the water, and they are external factors which cause this. Interesting is that water per se is pure even in the mixture, if you are able to segregate it. Therefore, we have to understand that water per se is not contaminated, cannot be contaminated, but water appears to be contaminated by the external factors. Like that is, the diversification seems to be superimposed upon the Atman because of the Upadhis. So the important point here is, the association of Upadhis is the cause. The association of the Atman with the Upadhis is the cause. What are these Upadhis? What are these equipments? This is described in verses 12, 13 and 14. Verse 12 talks about the gross body. Verse 13 talks about the subtle body. Verse 14 talks about the causal body. I mean, clear-cut definitions are given here. Only on account of the diverse equipments, caste, color, stage, etc. are superimposed upon Atman, just as different flavors, colors, etc. upon water. We'll chant verse 12. Yeah.
Can we connect jati with prarabdha?
In other words, when I mentioned about the definition of jati being by birth, essentially what we need to understand is, if at all you want to identify yourself as one jati, okay, that cannot be changed. Varna, there is a fluidity. That's all has to be understood there. So we need not connect it to prarabdha, which is common for everything, in the sense that prarabdha is that which you are born with, in that sense. So if you connect that to in that way, then jati cannot be changed. Your prarabdha, you have to go through like that it is.
So
Yes.
if you are doing a karma kanda, let's say some havan yajna or something, and some priest or somebody is called to recite it or to do it successfully, then as on date now also people only say that the one who is a Brahmin only should be God. If you say someone that he is a very highly qualified person and a sattvic person, people still don't call them for their visual performance and other things. What is the main reason behind that?
I really do not know, but as far as the, let's say, a person, there have been also very many, let's say, revolutionaries within the fold of Hinduism only. From time to time, they have also broken all these barriers. Let us say, one Mahakavi Bharatiyar comes to mind, that he was born in a Brahmin community, but he sort of took out his sacred thread, but he made sure that a person from a so-called low caste is being given sacred thread also. Ramanujacharya and other great acharyas have also performed certain revolutionary acts, which is where they come from a even more orthodox background. And we see in Adi Shankaracharya's life, where he was very strictly bringing back the orthodoxy into the Hindu fold, which has deviated to Buddhism and other things. In his episode with Chandala, he says that a person who has knowledge, whether he is of a Brahmin's birth or a Chandala birth, he is my guru, and he falls at the feet. So, as far as the jnana, bhakti and other things are concerned, there is absolutely no demarcation or declassification, because we see self-realized saints also coming from all jati, all varna, man, woman, everything like that. Even asura, rakshasa also in stories we have that. But when it comes to certain rituals, and if they are following a certain pattern, etc., whatever is given to them, or because they have a shraddha and do whatever is given to them. Now it is the question of whether, suppose even if a person says, to such and such person you have to introduce Veda, or there are people who argue on this side and that side also. Some people say it must be open for all. Some people say no, maintain that whatever is given like that it is. But the point is, even if the other person has to be person who is considered a non-adhikari must be made into that, there are two things which are important here. One is, Lord Krishna says, Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo vayava. The main thing is you stick according to your Swadharma. If you're, let's say, there is a question in Mahabharata as to what is the Swadharma of Drona. Drona is considered a master in the Vedas also, but he is a master in the warfare also. And according to his Swabhava, he was fighting in the battlefield also. And he taught warfare to various princes also. And at the end of it all, when he attained Viragati in the war, it is said that he went into a superior loka like that. That means he had done his duty in the proper way. So that means the person's Swadharma is of utmost importance, irrespective of whichever and wherever womb that he has taken birth. And Swabhava of that person will, when it tries to, it will sort of establish itself. A person must not do or want to do or desire to do something else based on his ego or desire that I also want to do. It must come naturally for him, and then in that case the society, parentage, whoever it is, they must make it conducive for him to do. That was the flexibility before the system became very rigid in, I would say, the medieval period. This is from the point of view of the person who is on the wanting to do, and from the point of view of who is supposed to make this happen, the authorities or whoever it is, or Yajamana or whoever it is, they have to have that broad-minded perspective to see it. See, the catch here is, if the liberalism is taking the pendulum to the other side, then it becomes, let us say, open for all. There is no restrictions, there is no niyama, there is no anything. Only the mind must be pure. You need not take bath. You go to temple. You can eat anything. To that extent, it will go. Then there is no control. If discipline is there, and if you are not careful, then the rigidity may go to the other extreme. Only you have to do this. Only you have to do that. You have to do, not touch this, not touch that. It becomes extremely. Then mind becomes rigid in this extreme. So we have to follow a middle path. Now, in order to keep the totality under check, the society under control, they gave certain rules and regulations, meaning the great masters from time to time. And whenever rigidity came into picture, some people came as avatar or somebody, and they only corrected the thing only. Like in Alvars also, we see that Alvar was there, he was not allowed inside the temple. Then the Lord said, I am not going to face you to the priest unless you bring him inside. Like that, and also it has happened from time to time. So therefore, from the point of view of the person, he must be, as he practices the rituals and other thing, he must expand his intellect to accommodate this, be broad-minded about it. The contradiction is, if a person becomes rigid and he wants to stick to the thing, this will not come. Therefore, I would say, Vedantic knowledge and the universal love has to be somewhat parallelly instilled even as a person is practicing rituals and other thing, so that he is practicing as far as possible but not getting into the rigidity of it. Because the whole purpose of the ritual is to purify the mind. If that ritual is going to cause more segregation, more separation, and more hatred towards each other, that is not really worth it. If we go by even the guna karma, then only we can even accommodate even foreigners. There are various foreigners who have adopted Hinduism, who want to be more, sattvic, and they want to pursue. No, you don't have a sacred that it is whose laws it is, like that it is. So that broad-minded thing has to come through a proper understanding of Vedantic literature. That is the reason it is sometimes we'll chant verse 12.
Pancheekarana Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam Shariram Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatana Mochyate.
The gross body, the home for experiencing pleasure and pain, is acquired on account of the resultant traits of the past actions, and is said to be constituted of the 5 great elements, which have gone through a process of pentamerous self-division and mutual combination, technically called as Pancheekarana. See, the Upadhis are the cause of the differentiation, the last verse said. What are these Upadhis and how do they evolve? This is a very natural question that comes. Therefore, that is the sequence of thought is along with that in the next 3 verses. Upadhi's evolution, if we accept and understand, it is equivalent to understanding the evolution of the universe only. See, we said in the last class, in the 10th verse, Brahman appears as this world, that is the reality. And that appearance is attributed to, we do not know, we cannot explain. That is why it is Maya, it is said. You draw a circle in the middle of the board, and you cannot, you can say for practical purposes that the board is inside the circle and the board is outside the circle. But you cannot ask or answer the question, when did the board come inside the circle? Because board is there always. It is the circle which came inside the board. So, This is the play. This is the whole thing. But as not just as we are talking about level of LKG students, because the explanation given is also very scientific. How did the circle come? This question will come again and again, But then how it is created? But tell me no. Like that. Ram Tirtha says about in that Maya lecture, how time, space and causation you cannot question. But still, how means what to do? So explanations are given to satisfy the inquiring mind. If you go into the very technical details of it, there may be a flaw, 1%, 0.1% flaw will be there because you have to realize and understand the essential nature as it is. Before realization, we will be always filled with questions, and these questions can never be resolved. There cannot be a 100% satisfactory answer. You have to go to the other side of realization. There is solution we have found, but there's no questions there. That's the great thing. So Vedanta does not answer any questions. It makes you transcend the questions, actually. It makes you transcend the question means the questions get resolved only when you transcend them. When you are within the dream, how can you ever understand the creation of the dream? You will only try to give more and more theories to understand the dream, which is for you millions of years old. In the dream, because you are standing in the Himalayas, and if anybody asks when is the Himalayas created, means you will say it has been there for thousands of years or millions of years, where that dream is not even 5 minutes. When do you know? Only after waking up. But when you are in the dream, there is no way that we can resolve this. There is no way that we can resolve. Therefore, the only solution is to wake up. And yet, for inquiring minds, it is very scientific that it is the Upadhis that create the differentiation. How is this Upadhis come about? That is why Swami Ram Tirtha's portion on the theory of perception and Maya is a very sort of a classical reference material, not just from theoretical point of view. It answers various other questions. Whether there is Swarga or not is there. Where is they? Is it a geographical location or is it just a state of mind? All these questions are coming, and you will find the root of it is all given there. So, from that angle, we have to approach this and understand what is the evolution. So, evolution of Upadhis essentially is understanding the evolution of universe, because moment you say Upadhi, the gross, subtle and causal body as the Upadhi, you are part of the world. Can you say that I am only there, world is not there? I means with the equipments, it's not possible. World and you are inseparable. It is the individual who experiences the world. The world is the macrocosm and the individual is the microcosm. Microcosm and macrocosm are simultaneous. And yet we say individual and the world because it is the experiencer and the experienced. Okay, these two have to go together. And the essential beauty is that whatever is in the individual, that is what is in the macrocosm. That is why scientists are doing wonderful work in terms of understanding the universe. We have a Hubble telescope and various other things which goes light years ahead and tries to find out the composition of the universe, the evolution. They only came up with the theory of Big Bang and various things. Rather, the origin of the Big Bang theory is credited to a spiritual person. I forgot his name. He's a person from the church. He only propounded theory in the beginning. Okay, all those theories are there, and you understand how the space expands, involution, evolution, so much stars and galaxies, and so many things that you understand. And yet it is not complete. It is still, the study goes on and it expands further and further. Our horizon of knowledge, the more we come to know, the more we feel very insignificant about our own knowledge. Like that it becomes. Also, the same science is not able to understand the microcosm going inward and inward also. They are now hitting somewhere consciousness, but they are not able to say what it is, how it is, because all their Swami Sarvapriyananda of Ramakrishna Mission, his lectures are available on YouTube in a very big way. He talks about Advaita Vedanta only, and he's presently stationed in America. In 2009, when all the students of academy came to Calcutta for the first time, it was he who took us around the Ramakrishna mission. And you will find him talking about all the modern research and studies going in the consciousness field of study also, because the scientists and other people who talk about the hard problem of consciousness and the smaller problem of consciousness and other thing. Yet they are not able to. The hard problem is how is it? All that science talks about is the matter. The first person experience of how do we really feel it, how do we really experience it, that they are not able to arrive at. See, the science may say we do not know, certain chemicals combine and the consciousness is produced. Vedanta doesn't accept, or we don't understand consciousness as something produced. Nirveda Maya Nastya Krita Kritena. It is not created. Uncreated it is. That is the stance of Vedanta. But what is the chemical reaction? How it is produced? They say we do not know now, but in future we may say. Some people are able to say. If they are able to come to this side of understanding the consciousness being other things, matter is which is superimposed upon consciousness, then the entire science which has been standing on one angle must be now reversed. This is what they are doing further research and coming to conclusions, because any rational thinker has to slowly move towards that. So the inner sciences, and this is the consciousness that we are talking about. The brain itself, they have not even discovered fully what is its functions. They understand neurons and certain things that happen in the brain as a reaction to certain things. Very many studies and these things have been conducted, but 100% they are not able to understand. They even correlate mind to only brain and they understand it like that. This is relatively easy problem. The hard problem is the problem of how consciousness is produced. See, we have to understand, this question was posed millions of years back in Kenopanishad. That is the meaning, that same scientific inquiry was there in that student's mind. He gives the example of two cars going side by side. Nowadays we have this sort of Google cars where there is no driver, there's more sensors, and other side it knows when to stop, where to stop. It can see means it can understand the signal. Maybe it is more safe in that car also. So let's say two cars are standing side by side on the signal. One is with a driver inside it, one is without the driver inside it. Are both the experiences exactly the same as both the cars are getting driven? Now that car doesn't have a driver. What it is to drive a car? What is the feeling of driving a car, which is called as the first person experience? That, how is it I am able to get it? That is where science is stuck. See, you can create a car, you can make it run. Like that, is this body like that? A robo can be there. It can, let us say, if you have a provision, it also drinks something. Let us say a tube is there where it evacuates. Let us say a tube is there where air goes in, goes out, food goes in, goes out, all those things if it is there. What is the difference between that robo and any one of us? Does the robo feel that first person experience of what it is to live? What it is to experience? What is it that conscious feeling of it? That is where it is stuck. Where and how this consciousness. So what I'm trying to say is, the science is trying to go inward, and that also is not complete. The science is going outward. That is also not possible to complete, or that is not complete. Yet you must be scientific minded. You must go and do the research. That is why Vedanta is also a science. You have to approach this also in a scientific way, where you have to go through that finally, that experience. You have to understand it through experience, through anubhuti only. Now, therefore, if you are able to understand individual fully, probably you will understand the universe also fully, and vice versa. But the research has to be complete only by going within oneself. within oneself. In the comparison between microcosm and macrocosm, it is fascinating that they mimic each other. Only the magnitude is different. Microcosm is small, macrocosm is big. One drop of water is microcosm, one ocean is macrocosm. In drop of water also sun will be reflected, ocean also sun is reflected. That big sun, here small sun, reflection. But the real sun is above these two. Reflection here is small, reflection there is big. This is also H2O, that is also H2O. Properties are one and the same. One drop of sea water, how it will taste, that is what is every drop of sea water it will taste. Like that it is. One day what it is in a different way is what 1 year is in a different seasons. Morning, noon, autumn, spring, summer, winter, rainy season, all these things. Like that in the thing it goes. So it is very interesting. Therefore, study of microcosm and macrocosm are interlinked. Doctors and other experts say that whatever is the combination of the elements within our body, that is probably the proportion in the outer space also. I am just projecting. It could be a good theory. We are also made up of, in the earth is made up of so much of water, we are also made up of so much water. It is still difficult for me to believe that there is space everywhere and intergalactic space. Not every, there is lot of space without any this thing. Space is there without any even air or anything occupying it, though air forms a very substantial part of the space. Similarly, they say within your body you go break and go into the last level of cells. Inside that what it is, we do not know whether it is proton or whatever it is. Inside that if you go, they say there are enough big space around there. In that sense, let us say when you fill a big bucket with lot of balloons, it seems to be full and there's no space, but actually within each and every balloon there's a lot of space, like that. So imagine your body to be completely filled with cells and other thing, but within them there is a lot of space, and that percentage it gives us phenomenal 96%, which is hard for me to believe. It is amazing, like that it is. So space is here, space is there. Water is here, water is there. Fire is here, fire is there. Earth is here, earth is there. Air is here, air is there. This is what it is. So seems to be a fascinating coordination between the microcosm and macrocosm. Not only that, the Upadhis of organs of perception, which is called Jnana Indriyas, with which we interact with the world. We have 5 of them, and that corresponds to each one of the 5 elements there outside. So there is a beautiful coordinating mechanism. We do not know who and where created it. That is why in Vedanta, we saw in the Tattva Bodha also the portion is sequentially read in terms of Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. First the Jiva is understood in full. What is 3 equipments and what is 3 states of consciousness and Panchakosha and various other things. So completely, and then finally negating all that and say that you are the Atma. Then he talks about the Jagat. What is this Maya, Prakriti, 24 elements, this, that. Then what is the evolution of all the gunas. And there you find that the connection between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Then to say beyond this is the Ishvara who controls the microcosm and macrocosm. So the study goes like that, and finally it culminates in Tattvamasi. That which you call as the Ishvara and that which you call as the Jiva, there need not be any segregation at all. The segregation is on account of your ignorance only. Like that the sequence of study goes. So here the evolution of the universe, if we understand, it will help us in understanding what is this Pancheekarana all about. This verse is talking about the gross body and Pancheekarana. The explanation for the change of appearance is postulated as Maya, and this Maya is Gunamayi, that is, it has 3 gunas: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That is why this universe, which is an expression whose cause is the combination of that Ishvara Tattva in the Maya, you will find that the gunas of the Maya being reflected or being present in each and every aspect of the universe. In human minds, in time, in nature, in plants, in animals, anything that you can conceive of, it will be one of the three gunas. If you find anything also, it will be a shade in between only. Essentially, these are the three gunas. The Sattva guna, which is the pure quality, the highest quality, A grade quality. Rajoguna, which is the middle quality, B grade, which is the passionate quality of the thought. And the Tamoguna is the dark, inertia quality, dull, ignorant, and the lowest grade of quality. And it is natural phenomenon that all three qualities have to coexist in the universe also, in you also. Your personal sadhana is to rise above all the gunas. But as far as the world is concerned, do not condemn anything. You need to associate properly for your satsang and move forward. That is different. But each and everything is created for a purpose. Each and everything has a role to play. This is the three gunas. Now, as far as the evolution of the gunas are concerned, the Sattva guna and Rajoguna, they in their pure, see, it is, when does the evolution happen is when this when the state of Brahman is in by itself, which is in the state of what we understand as cosmic deep sleeper, where the Maya is there associated with it, but it is withdrawn inside completely. We see that there is no manifestation, no creation, no discussion, anything at all. In other words, you can say they are in a state of perfect equilibrium. Somehow, for whatever reason, when the equilibrium is disturbed, that is when the further creation, further manifestation happens. When in their pure form, there is absolutely pure Brahman only. It doesn't taint Brahman. Only when in their manifest form, all these differentiations and demarcations arise and the purity of Brahman is not visible as it were for us. The Sattva guna evolves in the nascent form. The Rajoguna evolves in its nascent form, and they have a what is known as, and whatever is the universe is made up of, this is the 5 elements. So all these 5 elements from one angle, the 3 gunas from one angle, you can have a matrix. In other words, the 5 elements have, each one of them have their Sattva guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. That means there is a Sattvic space, there is a Rajasic space, Tamasic space. There is a Sattvic water, Rajasic water, Tamasic water. Like that, each and every element have their own this categorization. When they are in their nascent form, and elements in the nascent form we cannot conceive now. Let us understand why. Our conception comes through our equipment of intellect, and that comes in this body, which is the house of experience, as it is given in this word. But the nascent element is beyond all conception. It is in the pure form. After the evolution, only then the equipments and other things appear. So these are the products which have come, which cannot understand the producer in its purity. Okay, so a science is given, let us understand it as it is. Maybe in terms of, if we are able to understand the reverse process, then you can postulate what must be the creation process. Okay. The Sattva guna in its samashti form means the macrocosmic form. Macrocosmic form means with all the elements together is one thing. And Vyashti means microcosm, individual. Individual means space different, air different, fire different, water different and earth different. You will find that the 5 organs of perception correspond to the individual sattvic gunas of each of the 5 elements. The sattvic element of the space evolves as the indriya of hearing, which is the real ear. Real ear means that is the indriya of ear. The sattvic element of air evolves as skin, the indriya of skin. This is the further expression of the indriya of the skin. The indriyas is in the subtle body. The sattvic element of fire is the indriya of sight, eyes. The sattvic element of water is the indriya of taste, tongue. The sattvic element of earth is the indriya of smell, which is the nose. The combination or the sattvic element of the totality of the 5 elements is the antakarana, which is mano, buddhi, chit, ahankar. Mind, intellect, chit and ahankar. It is very interesting. It's very scientific also. All these 5 sense organs, where do they finally unite? At the functional level, they are all different. You cannot smell with the tongue. You cannot hear with the eyes. They have to do their respective function. But all of them are connected to, all their sense centers are connected to the one mind only. So that one mind is made up of the samashti or the totality of the sattvic element of the all elements. And functionally, it is classified into 4, which is mind, intellect, chit and ahankar, which we will see little detail in the next verse. Next verse is talking about the subtle body. Rajasic element, rajasic aspect of all the elements. Rajas itself means passion, action. Therefore, organs of action are evolving from the rajasic aspect of all these 5 elements. Rajasic aspect of space is the speech. Rajasic aspect of air is the hands. Rajasic aspect of the fire is the limbs. Rajasic aspect of the water is the genital organ. And the rajasic aspect of the earth is the organ of evacuation. The totality of the rajas, which gives the power to do all these things, which is connected to that, is the prana. So therefore, the totality of all the rajas is the 5-fold prana. Prana is one only. Functionally, like just as mind is one, the subtle body is one. Functionally, they are intellect, mind, memory, which is conditioned consciousness, and the ego. These are all technical differences according to function. Similarly, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, all these are functional differences, but it's the same prana only. So this is coming from the totality. So again, very scientifically understandable, and it's very interesting. I think I have given the chart when we did this last time. You can refer through it. Each and every aspect of the organ is also given a Atidevata. Atidevata means a presiding deity. Ultimately, it's the supreme consciousness, but when it is functional through each and one organ or a particular thing, a particular deity is invoked. And what is the reason? We have all discussed before. You can go through the chart. That's also very scientifically given. So the sattvic aspect evolves like this. The rajasic aspect evolves like this. Then the question arises, what happens to the tamasic aspect? Is it also something like this? Space, air, fire, water, in this separate and all these things happen. Here it doesn't happen like that. In tamasic element, what happens is that in the pure form that they go through a pentamerous self-division and reunion in a way that is called as a Pancheekarana. A process happens, and this Pancheekarana, when it happens, the gross elements are formed. So what we experience in the world outside, of which our gross body is also part, is nothing but the grossified version of the elements. We cannot know or understand what is pure air or pure water from what we experience, or we can only try and conceive it. When you see water here, the water has other elements also in it. It's not pure water. When you see sky here, okay, space is without any qualities, right? That at least is very clear. But can you see space in its purest form? We cannot even conceive or understand. We see blue sky. Blue is not, when we say blue sky, blue actually does not belong to sky. But blue is attributed to sky only. But blue comes from somewhere else. It's suspended water, and then sunlight passes through it and it diverges. Whatever it is, it belongs to various other elements, but it is present in the sky. Flame has certain colors. In chemicals, when you add certain things, some other color comes. In matchstick, some other color comes of the flame. The matchstick has the earth element and various other things in it. So what you have as a fire is not the purest form of fire. What you have as water is the purest, not the purest form of water. Air has, air, the smell aspect is only belonging to the earth. But we see that the air, there is a smell. How is that the air has smell? Because air has the dissolved, some agarbatti is there, good smell is there. Some other sulfur dioxide, some other smell is there. The sulfur has that quality. This has the quality. When it mixes with air has that quality. So what we understand as air is not the purest form of air. That is why by any process, if you have the most purest form of water in chemically in a laboratory or produced, it is not visible. It's not really visible to us as it is. It is there. You can touch it. I'm just saying. So you have to imagine it from the point of view of the subtle elements, nascent elements. So these nascent elements are there. The tamasic aspect of the nascent elements go through a process, and it is not that first, all the sattvic elements do and all the organs of perception are created. Nothing like that. All this happens simultaneously. When you say evolution, it is simultaneous. Everything is simultaneous. Like that it is. When you are awake, all the organs are active. It's like that it is. So, as the sattvic and rajasic aspects of the elements evolve into various organs that are specific, visible, inside, at the indriyas level, at the subtle level, tamasic evolves into the gross level. So, therefore, Rajas and Tamas put together, Rajas, Tamas and Sattva put together is our entire personality. Specifically, gross body is the aspect of tamasic personality. Probably that is one of the reason that there is an inherent tamas in the body. Even as your mind wants to perform certain things, you are inspired about various things, the body does not fully by itself cooperate. So we need to do a lot of exercises and yoga and various other things to keep it, in the push. Even if you have been, getting up regularly early in the morning for 1 week, 1 month, and even if you miss one day, it doesn't come automatically the next day, because the inherent quality of this gravitational pull of the tamas, probably this could be a reason. Now what happens in Pancheekarana? In Pancheekarana, the tamasic aspect of all the 5 elements are first there in their nascent form. It is there given in the book also, you can see the diagram. So this is space, air, fire, water and earth. And at the first stage, they are in their nascent form. Just to differentiate, I'm putting like this. And in the second stage, each of the elements divide themselves into 2. So this is half air, this is half fire and half fire, half water and half water, half earth and half earth. Half of it becomes. At the third stage, one half, the first half remains as it is. The second half divides itself into 4. So essentially 1/8 of the original. This remains as half, and this becomes 4/4 of the half, which is 1/8 of the original. Like that, each and every element happens. 1/2 plus 4 into 1/8, which is half plus half, total 1 is there. This is the third stage. Like that, it happens to all elements. In the fourth stage, the original half of that element remains as it is. Each of the other 4 of that goes and merges with each of the other 4 elements. So 1/8 of space goes to air, 1/8 of space goes to fire, 1/8 of space goes to water, 1/8 of space goes to earth. Similarly, space has 1/8 of air, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water, and 1/8 of earth. So now the division is complete. At the last stage, you understand that these combine. The combination of these gross elements is the constitution of the gross body. We can see from our experience that the body is made up of all these things, and the bones and other things are the aspect of the earth. Blood and other things are the aspect of the water. The digestive fire and other temperature is the aspect of the fire. Prana, other things which are there inside, is the aspect of the air. And the whole body also, we discussed that it has space, but the whole body also occupies a space. As we said, we may not be able to conceive space, but the point is, when we move, we do feel our body is able to move, right? Unless otherwise space is there, it cannot move. So it is now, presently it is occupying a space which is pushing itself into other space, and so space is an aspect of the body. And death confirms this. When we are dead, the body becomes cold. That means the fire is gone. The liquids of the body ooze out. The water is gone. The air of the body slowly goes away. Air is gone. Body crumbles finally. It may take time, but even if you leave it, the bones, everything will decompose at some point of time. Earth aspect, everything will be gone. The space that was occupied by the space merges as it were with the total space. So this is how we understand that the gross body is made up of the 5 elements, but we need to understand this 5 elements is not in their pure form. This process of converting the nascent elements or the pure element into grossified element is called as the Pancheekarana. If we understand from Pancheekarana, then we can understand how the subtle functions, that it is in the state, mind, intellect, everything is functioning in a state where it is not grossified. So whatever is there is a connection between mind and body, that much we know. If mind is very sluggish, mind is very lethargic, lazy, you find that the body also doesn't want to act or move. You feel very lazy and lethargic. If the mind is fresh, you feel energetic at the body level. Mind is healthy, the body is healthy. Mind is cheerful, you are springing and enthusiastic in your actions. So there is a direct connection between mind and body, that is clear. So therefore, if we reverse the logic and understand, if they are reacting to each other and they are expressing each other, they must be made up of same material only. If a person is speaking in English and other person is able to react to that, that means he also knows English. If there is absolutely no reaction at all from the other side, I speak German and you know only Russian, there will not be any transaction when a articulate sound is produced in German. But if you are able to understand, then we can understand that there is a frequency that is matching. When the mind is affected and the body is affected, we understand that there is a frequency matching between the body and the mind. So if you are able to understand that the body is made up of matter here, we can conclude the mind also must be made up of matter. Mind is matter. To that extent, science also proves, and it is correct. Science very clearly says mind is matter. They are only confused as to how this consciousness or the feeling of the first person entity is able to come. Mind is matter. It is subtle matter, but matter. We are only not able to segregate the mind and consciousness. Swami Ramtirtha gives a brilliant example, which in the 15th verse, it's an extension of that example that he gives. 15th verse of Atma Bodha is going to say that Shuddhatma Nila Vastradis Yogena Spatikoyat. Spatika means the crystal. Crystal seems to appear blue, Nila Vastradi, when it is kept in the background of a blue curtain cloth this crystal appears blue, but a child may believe it is to be blue, but you cannot prove. You can prove by removing the crystal and show, see this is colorless actually. Blue color belongs to the curtain, not to this. But Swami Ramtirtha goes further and asks another question. Is that curtain really blue? What is the curtain essentially made up of? Cotton? Is there any blue cotton? How did they make that blue cotton? By the process of dyeing and other things. That cotton is white, and they go through a chemical process by which it is made into blue. But you can segregate this crystal and the cloth to say that this is different, that is different. But you cannot segregate blue and the cloth to say this is different and that is different. But actually it is different. What you have to use, maybe a hard detergent, whatever is the detergent, a chemical which is more powerful than that, what it is made to create that. You have to rub it hard, it will take time, but eventually you may say, see, all the blue thing has come out in this water. What remains is the cotton. Unless you have not damaged it, you can show it that this is what it is. But that is a hard and long process. And removing crystal and this is a easy process. Like that. To say that gross body is not the self is easy, and easy in the sense relatively easy. And death proves it. Somebody was occupying this body all along till yesterday he was talking and playing and relating. Today where is he? So that means it is not the body. Somebody else was in the body. He was using this like a house. Who is that? We do not know. And then from our experience we have our thoughts, we have our mind, so we attribute it to that at the second level. But he says that is not so. That is also matter. That is also matter. You can think of any other reason to understand why mind is matter. Of course, I have given the reason that's given in Vedanta, but one more angle you can think about. That can be your homework. You have to use the hard detergent of dispassion, Swami Ramtirtha says. That I am not this mind, I am the self. You have to go to that level to use that hard dispassion to segregate thought and the self. So, this is only to where we started is this mind is also matter. We are not able to conceive the mind. We are able to conceive in the sense we are able to experience the mind. But what it is, what shape it is and all, we do not know. But we know there is something called the mind from our experience. And that is also made up of matter. That determines the nature of the body. So, if you want to really bring about even a change in your physical body, it has to start at the thought level. Your thoughts, when you change, you will find that your health, everything automatically changes. There are very many people who even cure themselves of even chronic diseases by a certain thought force, will. Even if you take tablets, if your faith and your thought force is not backing it, it will not be effective. That is subtle and this is gross. Subtle always has a hold over the gross. Subtle always controls gross. Even these elements, there is subtlety and gross. Space is the subtlest. Earth is the grossest. In universe also it functions like that. In our perception also it functions like that. So, in this verse, he gives a beautiful direct definition of what a gross body is, which we will take up a little detail here, but this is the definition here. Definition is, the gross body, the home of experiencing pleasure and pain. Watch these two words in verse 13 and verse 12 and 13. Here the word used is bhogayatanam. Bhoga is usually understood as enjoyment, but you can take it as experience. Okay, house of experience is gross body. Next verse, you see subtle body is understood or explained as Bhoga sadhanam, which is instrument of experience. And a beautiful message for us is neither gross body nor subtle body is the experiencer. One is the house of experience, one is the instrument of experience, but experiencer is different. Experiencer is different. The gross body, the home for experiencing pleasure and pain, is acquired on account of the resultant taints of the past actions, and is said to be constituted of the 5 great elements which have gone through a process of pentamerous self-division and mutual combination. Oh, permission. Yes, sir.
Sir, two clarifications. So, when they say that they have created pure water on earth, so that is also actually gross, because the water element over here on earth would have H2O, and then there would be particles and there would be space inside that and all that.
That is one way of looking at it. But even as the, when talk about aquaguard, RO and pure water in a distilled way in a laboratory, wherever, whatever they create.
So that is a gross water.
A gross water only. But even then, see, the thing is, pure water by itself, where does it even exist? It has to exist in coalition with the other thing. See, suppose if it is contained somewhere, that container is made up of what? It is made up of other elements, so it is touching it. You can say 99.9%. That is why when people talk about, we have certain kitchen containers, it is 99% vacuum or something like that. All the air is taken out. You cannot take out 100% air out of it. Some will be there. So they talk about purity. It's 99% gold, 99% pure copper, something like that. 100% like that in perfection, it's not possible. Probably that is one way to see. Yes.
The water in its nascent state is also matter.
Matter. It is matter. Everything is matter only. It's in either subtle form or in the grossified form.
So, there is a word saying Devi Yesha Gunamai, Maya. In this Maya consists of gunas, and it's also a Devi Sampad. Why is Maya Devi when it is always, the word what we feel is always delusive?
No, correct. It is the statement made by Krishna. He is talking from the point of view of the self or the Ishvara. He says, Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. So he claims the Maya. That is why we say the Ashraya of the Maya is also in Brahman only. Okay. So essentially, the Maya, which is aspect of him, it is Gunamayi only. Okay. It is nothing to be, only at the level of the individual, it veils as ignorance. It does nothing to him. But from the individual's point of view also, when we talk about Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, which all makes there's the same Shakti which makes you desire, which makes you do actions and other thing. But it is with her grace. It is the giver of knowledge. Vedanta, which is also part of Maya. So you have to look at it that way. It is through her grace only we have to cross over that also. In that sense, you can take it as a positive.
Yes, sir.
So where does Vivek fit into all these things? We said mind is matter. And human beings are the only part of the sentient beings that are blessed with Vivek. So how do you really...
It forms part of the intellect. If you want to put it under the equipment, it is the aspect of intellect. So intellect is matter again. It is in the sattvic of the samashti of all the elements.
So when you compare micro and microcosm, so you compare this, you put in the sattvic element of the overall...
Yeah, sattvic element of the totality. Total elements is the mind, intellect, chit and ahankar. So it is part of the subtle body.
Then, obviously it is only available with the human beings. And why is it only available with human beings? If it is part of the complete macro body.
No. As I said, the subtle body is the functional difference only. So mind is there for animals, mind is there for us. It's all pool of thoughts, and that is what is the elements and material talking about. As far as the function is concerned, a human being has an extra function, which is discrimination. That's about it. It's a functional difference. We'll conclude.
Poornam Adah, Poornamidam, Poornat, Poornamudachyate, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।